When I started budgeting my finances 10 years ago, I had no clue what I was doing, and it showed. I made so many mistakes that just slowed down my financial growth. In this video, I want to share the 9 budgeting strategies and mindsets that I had to learn the hard way so you can avoid the scar and just get the lesson. With that said, let's just jump into the first mindset: not quitting after only a couple months. Personal finance is hard. There's no sugarcoating it. But if you've never gone down this personal finance journey before, then that means it's a new skill. And new skills, you don't just pick up right away. Did you fall a bunch the first few times you rode a bike as a kid? Were you an expert in your field on your first day of a new job? Of course not. But you stuck with those things out of, either a necessity like your job or a want like riding the bike. So if you keep falling off the wagon doing the personal finance thing, you need to find a way to make it either a necessity or, dare I say, make it fun. There's a few ways to do this. One way is to have an accountability partner. That way you aren't just letting yourself down if you don't do it, but the person that's, working with you and you guys made a bond over this, you're impacting them as well. Another way is to make a financial goal so good and so impactful that you have to reach it. For example, I have a goal in the next 5 years that I would love the opportunity to go to my wife and be like, you know what? I make enough money for all of us now. And if you don't want to work anymore and you want to do something else, you have that opportunity. So after writing it down, saying it out loud, and now, speaking it publicly in a video like this, like, how am I not going to try to achieve this goal? Give yourself a goal that's too good to ignore, which transitions nicely to the next on the list. Budgets are not restrictive. I think that this is actually such a misconception when it comes to finances and budgeting, and I think it's the sole reason why the majority of you don't do it. Everyone wants the feeling of being free, right? No one wants to be restrictive. No one wants to think about what a smaller lifestyle would look like or cutting back expenses would look like. But the truth is, a budget doesn't tell you what you can't do. It actually tells you the opposite. It tells you what you can do with your money. Budgeting equals intentionality. Budgeting shows you where you're spending your money, and you can quickly see if where your money's going is aligned to a financial goal or a life goal. Similar to the I have no time argument, it's one of those things where if you're not tracking it, you don't care about it, no matter what you say. So let your financial goals and your life goals guide your money decisions. The next strategy on the list is you aren't budgeting for your future. You have financial goals, right? But you're probably not reaching them. Why? Because you're setting yourself up to fail. Here's what many people do with their finances every month. Let me know if this resonates. You pay off all your regular expenses for the month. Okay, that's great. But then at the end of the month, you look and you're like, oh wow, I haven't applied any money to my financial goal, my debt, my whatever, and the goal keeps getting pushed off every single month. But this cycle keeps happening. Why? Because you haven't changed your habit, but you want a different outcome, a different result. So here's what I want you to do. Here's some tactics that you can do to change this habit. After I'm done here, pause the video, write down the things that are most important to you. There could be financial goals, life goals. After you have that list, go back 3 months for your expenses and actually look at where your money's going. You're going to be able to see very quickly if your money is or is not aligned with those financial goals. And if this is your first time doing it, let me spare you the suspense here. It's not going to be aligned with your financial goals or your life goals. Okay. And that's totally fine because we can still change the process. Like there's still time. We're still living. So we can change what we're doing with our money. It's not set in stone. Bringing us to the next one on the list: having an accountability partner to lean on. When my wife and I were paying down $43,000 worth of debt in 13 months, we had a literal debt meeting that lasted 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning of each month on our couch in our living room. We had to make sure that everything was aligned because I had debt that was just mine, she had debt that was just hers, and then we had shared debt. It was like a complete mess. And the goal of those meetings was to prioritize the certain debts, and we had to make sure we were communicating because, again, there was all these accounts and it was kind of confusing. So we didn't want like one person to use up all the money for their thing when it wasn't the priority, right? So we just wanted to talk it through. How much are we paying for each of the debts that month? And how do we keep being intentional with our spending? And I'm actually so confident in the process that I made a free course showing you how to find more money in your finances so that you could pay down your debt 2 times faster. How does that sound? It's completely free. So if that interests you, the site is skool.com/debt. It's in the description of this video. And right now, if you join, I'm offering a free 30-minute strategy call and get you going, get you ramped up, and get a strategy for you to continue moving forward. The next mindset to help you budget this year, stop telling yourself you don't make enough money. Someone literally told me this one time and I started to chuckle only to realize that they were actually serious. Budgeting is for any person in any country, using any currency, with any income, any religion, any gender, all this other stuff. Anyone. It's literally for anyone. I've said it already in this video, but I have to say it again. If you take away one thing from this video, is that budgeting is about being intentional with how we're spending our money. How aligned is our spending to our goals, right? They should equal each other. Spending equals goals, please. And the reason why you're probably living paycheck to paycheck or have a ton of debt you don't know what to do with is because your spending aligns with absolutely nothing. There's no priorities. I've worked with lower income people that are absolutely crushing it with their finances and higher income people that just they're not. The lower income earners are budgeting because they feel like they have to stay on top of everything. They just have less to work with. Whereas the higher earners just think that their higher salary will cover up their financial negligence, we'll call it. But the truth is, it's just not about the income, it's about the habit. So until you build the habit, nothing's going to change. Which transitions nicely to the next on the list, planning better for future expenses. My wife and I, we have two kids. We have a 3-year-old and we have an 8-month-old. So our 3-year-old has been going to daycare for a while, okay? Our daycare costs $300 a week, so it's about $1,200 a month. And a few months ago, we started our 8-month-old in daycare, so all of a sudden, overnight, our daycare bill doubled from $300 a week to $600 a week and about $2,400 a month, which is absolutely insane, a huge portion of our income. If you're a parent, let's vent about it down in the comments, okay? Because it's crazy. But we knew that our 8-month-old, before she was born, around 5-6 months, we'd be sending her to daycare. So what did we do? We didn't wait until she was 4, 5, 6 months old and be like, crap, what are we doing with this daycare bill? We planned ahead because we knew that we needed to find or figure out $1,200 extra a month, which just sounds insane. But when you give yourself time to figure it out, you figure it out, because we are not going back into, credit card debt or whatever, personal debt, just because our kids are in daycare and we didn't plan for it. Like, that's ridiculous. Bringing us to the next one on the list, create daily systems that help your finances. I hate the debate that's happening online about how daily Starbucks is making you poor. Now, sure, a $5 cup of coffee every day, that's not ideal, but it's just more about the process around your spending, right? It always comes back to this. So if you look at your goals, is Starbucks coffee your North Star? Probably not. Is the convenience of, going through the drive-thru and picking up your coffee that day part of your North Star? Probably not. Is being behind in the morning so you couldn't make it at home and you had to stop at Starbucks part of your North Star goal? Probably not. Create specific processes in your life that make it way easier for you to succeed with your financial goals. For example, I'm still doing the 9 to 5 thing, and I bring my lunch every single day, not because I need to necessarily financially, but it keeps me accountable and it keeps me on track of I bring the thing that I think I need to eat, because health goals are really important to me. It's one of my life goals, right? I've got 2 kids and a wife. I want to stick around for them. If I went to work every day and I didn't bring my lunch, I would be ordering at my most hungry time, right? I would be ordering something that's not on my meal plan. I don't really have a meal plan, but you know what I mean. And I would regret it later. Am I excited to eat a boring salad every day? No, it's freaking miserable, okay? But I'm not thinking about today. I'm thinking about tomorrow, 10 years from now. A Philly cheesesteak sounds amazing today, but what is it gonna do to me in 10 years if I keep eating Philly cheesesteaks? The next strategy on the list is please start tracking all expenses. For some reason, you think keeping track of your finances in your head is working, but it's not. This is not some wishy-washy thing. You're either tracking your finances, you're tracking your spending, or you're not. There's no gray area. Some people are only tracking the bills that they have to pay to other people, like utilities or their rent or their credit cards, but they're not considering the regular everyday expenses like groceries or Amazon. And quite honest, guys, you're just not gonna win if you're half-assing it. And before I started budgeting it, I had the same questions in my mind. I was like, why do I still live paycheck to paycheck? Now I know why. It wasn't until I committed myself to being intentional with my money, not restrictive, right? Intentional. There's a big difference, right? I didn't restrict my life. I was just more intentional with how my money was being spent, aligning it towards the things that matter to me the most. And if you don't like your financial outcomes, you have to look at the inputs, okay? Are you spending enough time, money, effort into these things. And last, but maybe the most important, recognizing that every dollar has a purpose. I started tracking my finances using what's called the zero-based budgeting strategy. And with this strategy, every dollar that comes in, we allocate a home to it. Figure out what you can live on and then budget for your financial goals. The people I talk to, they're neglecting financial goals consistently every month, and they wonder why they're not getting ahead. So here's how I want you to start thinking about this. Bucket out your expenses with need items, okay, and want items. Now, you have to be really honest of what a need item is for you and what a want item is for you. Then what we do during the month, we obviously need to prioritize the need items, right? So we need roof over our head, foods in our bellies. We need, electricity this day and age. And then what I want you to do is slot in the financial goals. So we're prioritizing the need, then we're prioritizing the financial goals, and then whatever's left over is for the want items. And I know in the beginning that's going to be an adjustment period for you, because what you're probably doing now is need and want. You're not really bucketing them separately. It's just sort of, here's my life. And then at the end of the month, it's like, oh my gosh, I have no money to put towards retirement, pay down my debt faster. And it's just a losing strategy. But if I'm being honest, none of this even matters if you don't know how to budget. I talk about how to build the perfect budget in just 7 steps in this video. So I will see you on the other side.